This is my 1977 Fiat 127, and for the next few weeks while we're all in lockdown, I'm going to be doing some body work on it. Starting with the front valance, but before I do that I've got to take the bumper off, which means putting the car back in the garage and getting the tools out. Good times. So for all of you who aren't aware, this is a Fiat 127, essentially a Fiat 127 but built under licence by Fiat back in the 70s when they had a partnership. That later disbanded and they started making their own cars in their own name and own right, but of course while this was being manufactured it was under licence. I'll just show you the front grille. It's a keen reminder that once upon a time they shared a bit of history. The bodywork is remarkably solid. It came from Malta last spring. I don't think it's ever seen a wet road. Underneath is rock solid, but unfortunately the bodywork has a few dents and scrapes, or patina as people call it, or patina. A few little marks I want to sort out. Someone's done some interesting repair work. I mean that's just letting the whole car down really. Along the passenger side or driver's side wing in this case, because it's a left-hand drive. There's a few little dents and scrapes and stone chips. Best panel on the car by far is the roof. There's no paintwork, no need attention on there. It's lovely. Apart from that little bit, but we'll ignore that. It's a sweet little car and quite rare now. On the road, of course, this is now UK fully UK registered, so it's okay to drive. Not that I'm going to be going anywhere in it because of the current situation. Inside is lovely. The thing I've put in there is an aftermarket radio with a retro look to it to keep it looking original. It's got a genuine 40,000 miles. I don't even think it's that, it's 61 kilometres. 61,000 I should say. This is the S model, so it's the slightly plusher seats rather than the vinyl. Yeah, it's weathered really well considering. It's got a few little stone chips like that which I'm going to get touched up, but I want to start with the front valance and slam panel, so I'm going to crack on and get the bumper off. Well, I just had a look and it just appears to be two 1/2-inch bolts, so I'm going to crack on now and get the bumper off. It would appear it doesn't come off that way. Right, schoolboy error. I thought you undid these bolts either side and the bumper would just pull off, but there's a bracket here which prevents the bumper from coming forward. You actually undo two bolts here and here on either side, then the whole unit slides off as one piece. Quite straightforward really, but if you've not done one before, you're not going to know. Now I can get on with the next bit, which is to remove these. I could just mask them up, but they're brand new and I got them last month from Italy, so I don't really want to get any paint on them, so I'm going to get those off and then I can get the front panel prepped and ready for paint. But first, a cup of tea. Before I go for tea, it's worth pointing out these nuts and bolts are like new. This car's got no surface rust underneath. When I say no surface rust, there's no corrosion. I mean, that is a 40-year-old bolt on there, and that just came undone straight away. Good times. That's going to save a lot of arseache. I'm not supposed to swear on here, but I said arseache. I said it again. Right, a little bit more progress has been done. The battery went dead, so no camera recording on these last few bits, but obviously the bonnet's come off. Front grille, I've started to clean up the front panel in preparation for prepping it for paint. So next thing I'm going to give it a bit of a wet and dry down, get that smooth, and then get some primer on there. But before I do that, I need to mask up the areas like the headlights and bits behind the grille where I don't want any paint to get to. So I'm going to crack on with that now. So all I'm using is just a bucket of cold water, a sanding block, because I want to just smooth down the surface of the panel here. It's pretty good anyway, but there's a few raised points where people have tried to touch up the bodywork with paint in the past. I'll sand that completely flat, then we'll get a nice decent surface to put some primer on. So with the front grille off, you can really see how good the car is. I mean, the radiator is in excellent condition. That's obviously the original rad. The panel just suffers a few stone chips, so this is all going to be flattened back and then prepped with some primer. That wing's going to need a bit more attention now, so I mean, overall it is really, really solid. Some time later, and the masking is underway. Before I put any primer on, I'm going to give it a coating of anti-rust primer, so that should hopefully stop the rust creeping in future, hopefully. But before I do that, I've got to carry on just sanding the surface down to give it a good key for the paint to stick to. Right. Now, a lot of you might be thinking, what the hell is this guy doing? But I freely admit I'm not brilliant at bodywork and I'm just having a go. So in my mind, if it's got rid of the stone chips and the surface is smooth and clean and dry with a fresh set of paint, it should be better than it was. So time will tell. Obviously I've got a coat of primer on now. That's going to be wet flatted tomorrow after it's cured. Then I can get another coat of primer on, and then obviously the top coat will then go on after that, after some smoothing down and making sure that the surface is as smooth as I want it to be. So we'll come back tomorrow and see how it's cured overnight. So day 3 of the restoration. Things have moved on quite a bit since the last video. I did 2 coats of primer on the front vents and front panel. I didn't film that because it was rather boring, but in between that it got wet fired and smoothed down. So next stage is to get some more paint on, and the first coat's now going on, so I'm going to crack on and do a bit more of that. Morning. It is Monday the 13th of April 2020. Fun times. I've dropped my car off, or I am in the process of dropping my car off at Panel 4, which is a nice little workshop in Ferndown. They're going to be doing the restoration work to my Fiat 127. So, yeah, I'm just going to wait around for Jez there to turn up, then I'm going to hand the keys over and he's going to make it good. Good times.